Hello from me as well, and welcome to this very, very weird meeting. I hope you're still with us. We cannot really see you, but I hope you're still there. When we were structuring this event, we thought to follow the trip. So from Libya, we go to Greece and then to Italy, but of course, Belgium was at the beginning, but just to make you have an idea, all the minors that you see here, where they came from. So a short overview. What we are going to discuss, of course, as in Belgium and in Italy, in Greece, it was a long research, and it lasted almost 3 years, 3.5 years. But today we chose these special themes because we really wanted to be meaningful for you as well. We have the theme about social workers working in first reception centers in Greece. And of course, you will also get an idea of how the reception centers are made, the well-known hotspots, paid actually from your taxes. The second is about the young refugees that they remain in a limbo situation while others applying for family reunification or just for international protection in Greece. And the third one is about the detention of unaccompanied minors in Greece. I think it works. Yes. Just to give you, this is very, very shortly. I'm not going to speak about the method because Malte and Giacomo already did it. But the participants, the sample from Greece, we had 44 in total. 12 of them were in detention at the time of the interview. And then at the second measurement moment, we have 25 participants in different countries. You can see the countries here. And then at the final measurement moments, and also because of COVID, the sample was only 21 participants. We tried to do some interviews via WhatsApp and other social media, but it was not possible. So we decided not to proceed. What is happening in Greece? We got access in the hotspot of Samos, and we went there to do also participant observation. Of course, it was part of our method, but also interviews with minors. We got lucky enough, and the first day of our research, there was KB outbreak at the minor section. So we didn't have access to the minors for 3 out of the 7 days that we had the permission to be at the center. So we focused the participant observation of the social workers and the medical team that was operating at the time at the reception center. So the official capacity when we visited, which was in November 2017, it was 650 people. The real number when we were there, it was 2,000 people, including 63 unaccompanied minors. It was the main camp, and there was an ad hoc camp at the mountains just above the official hotspot, hosting thousands of people. At the time they were distributing, the army was distributing 3 meals per day, plus 1.5 liters of water per person. And the average waiting time, it was 1.5 to 2 hours for each meal. And of course, there were toilets and bathroom only inside the camp, and most of them were destroyed. They were, at the time of our visit, of course, there were 5 social workers working for 2,000 people. There were no interpreters. Of course, there was lack of space. They were operating from a small container, and in this container, the container was distributed in 3 different sections. So one was the office of the psychologist, and one was, let's say, like kitchen area where they could have their lunch, and then there was a small office where the social workers had to do their job. And of course, when one social worker had to take an intake, the other social workers had to wait outside in the yard. Lack of privacy, as we said, many times social workers had to interview people outside in the common yard while others were waiting to see the doctor because they had a common yard with a medical team. And of course, lack of time.
Sometimes I think that nobody really knows what we are here to do. When someone is sick, they call the doctor. And if they cause problems with their behavior, they call the police. For everything else, the solution is the social service. At first, you are shocked by the demands coming from all sides. You try to set some limits, but in the end, you give up. You just accept the fact that you cannot organize your day. You start work with a full agenda, and from the beginning, you already know there is no way you can pull it off.
So at the time of many incidents, here you can see a broken window. It was someone that tried to set the container on fire with him and the social workers included.
When I think about everything they taught us in school, I feel like laughing. None of us was prepared to work in a situation like this. Most of the colleagues have no work experience, and suddenly they find themselves having to work in the middle of a war zone. Because that's what it's like here. Things we only saw on the TV, that we thought were happening somewhere else. As much as you love your job, you can't stand it for long. That's why most people come and go. You must either really desperately need the salary, or you have made a mental bet with yourself to endure. Every morning you wake up tired, and then go to work to return feeling empty and frustrated, feeling that everything is meaningless.
As a result, of course, this lack of support, this huge workload, and this emotional exhaustion leads a lot of social workers to burnout. And we have a lot of people quitting their jobs. Of course, most of you that you're working on the field, you do realize that having 5 people being responsible for 2,000, and this number is, it was in November 2017, in Samos, they reached 7,500 people, 8,000 people. So just imagine that day-to-day work is impossible, is simply impossible. The second theme that we would like to discuss is about the limbo situation of unaccompanied minors. And we used this term a lot while we were discussing our fieldwork. And this is how we ended up wanting to write really something about that. We based this research, this subject on participant observation and storytelling. Sorry, just we used the sample of 14 participants, 14 out of the 21 that they did all 3 measurement moments, and we follow them in their legal status. We see how their legal status takes them from one place to the other. So the first thing that we would like to discuss is about family reunification. I think this is very important because a lot of the kids that we met in Greece or in Italy, they wanted to be reunited with family in countries like Belgium or the Netherlands or UK or Spain or other EU countries. They have people waiting for them, they have family waiting for them, and bureaucracy made it almost impossible for them to reach their loving ones, at least as long as they were minors. They were still minors. So we had really long periods of waiting in Greece. You heard also at the story, the file was lost, they had to do it all again. We had a minimum of waiting time 1 year for family reunification, and we had cases that they applied for family reunification while being 16 years old, and they managed to do the trip after they became adults. We have long asylum procedures. Of course, you are aware that after 2015, family reunification is via the Dublin system. That means that in order to be reunited with your family, you need to apply for asylum at the country of entrance, in this case, Greece. Of course, after the EU-Turkey agreement, in order to apply for asylum, you need to wait for a non-specific period of time in a hotspot like the one that I showed you before, with 2,000 people waiting before you to apply for asylum. Unfortunately, as a minor, you're not being detected easily, and you don't have any priority. That means that the moment that you reach the asylum procedure, it's already 6 or 7 months after you enter the country. And then you need to wait, because family reunification cannot start at the hotspot. You need to go to a shelter, to find a position in a shelter, and then go there and then start the procedure. No access to information. So most of the minors, they didn't really know that they could do that. And they were deciding to continue their trip alone, as we will see the next slide, because the procedures were long, or they were not, they didn't have the information about the exact procedures. Our case has been dismissed for a third time by the Asylum Committee, and this is very important because this is a kid that actually arrived in a Northern European country after 10 days before she became 18. So because she arrived at the time, she was not allowed to be reunited with her family as a minor. So she had to go to a camp and start her asylum procedure there. So our case has been dismissed for a third time by the Asylum Committee, and we are about to go to the court. I don't know why it keeps happening. I'm living here for more than 2 years now, and I'm still invisible. I'm tired of waiting. We only wait. So we see that this limbo situation, it's not limited at the country of entrance, but it is a continuous situation also at the country of family reunification. I feel like I am waiting, I am in a waiting room for the doctor. Although I need to see the doctor every time it's my turn, somebody else is going in, and I'm just there waiting and getting more tired, more sick. And now they told me that I have to wait for 2 years more. They're saying we can't do anything with this situation. I go everywhere where I can go, like every office, every social worker, but I'm tired now. I am mentally upset. What we had also observed is that in certain countries, family reunification took place via Dublin system. The minors or the adults at the time arrived in the country of family reunification. The border guards, the police at the airports, because they did it via the airports, check their documents. They allowed them entrance to the country, and then they never entered the system. So they didn't know that they had to go and apply for asylum at the new country. They thought that they just arrived and go to their parents or siblings. And they found themselves for 2 years, like the boy at the last quote, with no documents at all, undocumented, completely undocumented at the country of family reunification. So as we said before, these very, very long procedures often leads minors trying to cross the borders alone. While they do that, we've documented frequent pushbacks and violence at the borders. And of course, long waiting in camps in Europe, often in inhuman conditions. They often speak about this dead time, which is, although we are moving, we are crossing borders, we are in a permanent waiting situation, which is this time by when we start from Greece to the time that I need to reach the destination. And of course, again, they arrive in the country, in the new country, but because they enter the borders undocumented, then they need to find their way there, and there is a long period of waiting also that creates anxiety and feelings of self-doubt. Did I make the right decision or not? So they were the smugglers, and they were hitting us when we couldn't cross the borders. They were hitting us because, look, we also wanted to leave. It wasn't our fault, but that is what they said. Why you went down? Why this? Why that? And they were hitting us. The police stopped us there and they took us our mobiles, our power banks, and they left us. This is during border crossing. They left us only with the clothes that we were wearing. They hit us right there, and then they asked for cars to come and take us back. What we often see is border police, border guards arresting minors that they try to cross the borders, beating them, and then push them back at the previous country of residence. Sometimes I think I need to try, and I wait. And actually, this is from a boy that managed to reach one of the neighboring countries here. Is it worth to wait? If I didn't go to another place, live in Greece, maybe now I would have my paper. These things make me like crazy, you know? And then we have minors that they decided to stay in Greece and apply for international protection there. As I said before, it is a long procedure to reach the authorities, to apply for international protection. And we have this inactive time spent in waiting. And of course, you know, by being adult, the fear of being deported. And after being 18, they have no rights to higher education and work. And of course, the constant fear of deportation. I just don't see the point. I think I did everything right, but Greece doesn't want me to stay here, and I don't want to go to another country. What's the point? I'm only afraid that they will send me back. I'm very tired and stressed because I'm here for 2 years now and I still haven't got an interview. We are talking about the official interview. That's what I'm thinking about, and it makes me cry. You can give me one paper to be legal in one way and start doing something, like to stay like that. Always, if you don't give me food, I cannot eat. It's not good life. I don't like this kind of life. I have power. I'm still young. I will be good at anything. And very, very briefly, I want to tell you something about detention in Greece. It is a unique phenomenon in EU. We detained unaccompanied minors only because they are unaccompanied minors under the euphemistic term of protective custody. In November 2020, Greece said allegedly stopped doing that. We have reports until August 2021, and that comes out from the Greek government actually, that they were still minors detained at the time. What we did with the detention, we did participant observation. We based our research in self-report questions and storytelling, and we did our research in the Amygdaleza Detention Center in Attica region. So the official capacity at the time was 32. The real number in our visit was 54. There were no outdoor activities, no schooling, one visit per day, one social worker and one psychologist for the whole population, which at the time was more than 500 people, no legal assistant, and the gate of the section was always locked and guarded. Also, we had the 70 cases that they were not in detention at the time that we interviewed them, but they had faced a form of detention during our research. They were detained in mixed cells with adults and minors, in prison cells full, that it was beyond their nominal capacity, no outdoor time, violence from other inmates, no guardianship, and no legal assistance. Okay, I need to go back, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. That's it. Thank you very much.